In the hot seat today, same place, different room, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, he is facing a lot of tough questions from lawmakers on a whole slew of topics, including recent shakeups at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and, of course, his policy on vaccine and the shifts that he has caused in our country. You know, his testimony comes just 1 week after the CDC faced fresh scrutiny over the firing of Director Susan Monterez. Now, along with the resignation of several senior CDC officials that then followed. And then, of course, there's this. This is a letter signed by more than 1,000 HHS staffers who say they want the secretary out. They accuse Kennedy of, quote, compromising the health of the nation. Lawmakers grilling the secretary about that and some remarks he made recently while talking about the Annunciation school shooting. Listen.
Just last week, in the days after the tragic shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in my home state of Minnesota, you went on Fox News blaming school shootings on antidepressants. You have no evidence of that because you have no evidence of a connection. And you want to talk about...
you're just saying something. You're just making stuff up.
You know, this is what you say, right? Secretary Kennedy, when someone presents you with information that does not fit...
I did not blame that shooting. I have no idea whether... I have no idea, and I never said that. You're making it up. You're twisting. Yeah, you are.
Secretary
you are being
Kennedy,
dishonest right now.
If you want to talk about mental health and gun violence in this country... If you want to talk about mental health and gun violence in this country, we should be talking about that, because that's what the parents of Annunciation School
You don't want to talk. You want to harangue, and you want to politically. You want to have partisan politics. I want to actually solve these problems.
So that's how you throw an elbow in politics in D.C. Let's go live right now to Capitol Hill and CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns right there in the halls of Congress where the news is happening. That's just one of the heated exchanges we saw today. What was the Democratic senator from Minnesota referring to there?
Hey, Reed, great to see you. I just want to also give you a little bit of context about what's happening here, what it feels like up here. There is a heavy security presence. You can probably see behind me. Just before I came on air, Secretary Kennedy left the room for a brief break. Lawmakers are leaving as well. They are taking a bit of a recess and perhaps coming back. But you can see intense security behind me. We were not able to access Secretary Kennedy from there. But going back to your original question, what the senator from Minnesota, Senator Tina Smith, was referring to was a comment that the secretary made over the weekend on Fox News, in which he seemed to suggest that there was some connection to antidepressants and the school shooting in Minnesota. Of course, there is no evidence for that, but he did make a remark during that interview saying that he wanted to open an investigation into any potential link between antidepressants and violence. So that is what she is referring to there. And it has been a remarkable hearing, some really tough lines of questioning, not only from Democrats, but also from some Republicans on the panel, notably Republicans who are themselves physicians who have raised concerns, they say, about the secretary's handling of messaging around vaccines.
Really want to nail that down. So is your reporting that he said he wanted to investigate the connections, the potential connections between antidepressants and that shooting, and not that he was really saying that specifically there was the connection? There's some nuance there.
That's right. I mean, this is just going off an interview that he gave to Fox News in which he introduced the idea that there could be a connection there and that he wanted to look into it. That is what the senator was referring to when she was opening that line of questioning to Kennedy.
Okay, so what's the goal for lawmakers now after this hearing?
Well, as hearings like this go, there is a feeling among lawmakers that they would like to show kind of how vigorously they are questioning the secretary. So, of course, you're hearing from Democrats really honing in on his comments about vaccines. Republicans have been a little more tepid in their criticism, and that's because they are kind of straddling the Republican Party base that really likes Kennedy. He was a prolific campaigner for President Trump. And during the campaign, I should note, President Trump said that he would, quote, let Kennedy go wild on public health. But during his confirmation hearing, there were concerns among some Republicans about his position on vaccines and whether that would translate into policy. And we heard during his confirmation from Senator Bill Cassidy, a high-profile member of this panel, who did in fact vote to confirm Kennedy. At the time, he said that he had received assurances from Kennedy that his views on vaccines would not translate into policy. But here there are these questions. I should also note that Senator Barrasso of Wyoming, a very conservative Republican, a close ally of President Trump, and the number 2 in Republican Party leadership here, he really struck all of us by noting that he's a physician himself and that he has concerns about the messages coming out from HHS about vaccines. And so that was notable. Now, whether anything comes out of this remains to be seen. By all accounts, and what we're seeing from supporters of the president, they are cheering on Kennedy and circulating clips that they believe speak to the way in which he is defending himself. And that's also notable in this hearing as well, that Kennedy has made no apologies for what has happened at CDC, and in fact, in his opening statement said that the firing of the CDC director, Menares, who I should note was just confirmed by the Senate just a month ago, he said that that was necessary to kind of clean house and get rid of what he called politics. And so he is making no apologies for what has happened, while you do have some concerns among even some Republicans about the messaging coming out from that perceived chaos.
Caitlin, thank you for stepping out of that hearing to talk to us, and it's so good for our viewers to see sort of what the atmosphere is after that hearing there in the hallway. We appreciate you. CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns.